So what we're going to do today is take an image, upload that image into Photopea, drop the saturation in it, desaturate it, and then we're going to bump the contrast, make it black and whites for a Caravaggio, Chiaroscuro, white charcoal. So what we're going to do first is I already went and I went over lighting, and we talked about things like the Rembrandt triangle for lighting. And you should have taken a picture using a lighting source in a dark room, preferably totally black room. Now, here you can see my drive, and you can see my image here, and you can see the kiln behind me, and it's not perfectly dark. You can see me holding my phone. We're going to go ahead and edit that, though. It'll work perfect. So I'm going to open that into Photopea. Again, if you linked Photopea to your drive like you should have at the beginning of the school year, all you have to do is go to Open With, click Photopea. Now, once this picture shows up, all we need to do is a couple simple things to make it really work. The first thing I want you to do is understand our DPI setting. So basically our resolution. If we zoom in here with the navigator and look at my eye, you can see how pixelated it is. So we can tell that's really problematic. So the first thing I'm going to do before anything else is I'm going to go in here and mess with some of my settings. To do this, I'm going to go to Image. I'm going to go down to the image size. And right here, we can see it's set up for pixels. Again, I don't think in pixels, so let's change that to inches. And we will look at it, and that's not terrible, but as soon as I crop it, it's probably going to be. So before I do anything, I'm going to change this to 300. And after I change it to 300, let's zoom in on my eye again. And again, when we zoom in on my eye, notice how small the pixels are now. I mean, we can zoom in close and get them to still be pixels. But now we have a much higher resolution image that's going to be better for when we blow it up to paint from. Or I shouldn't say paint, use our white charcoal. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is crop it. So again, we're going to go to the crop tool. And when we use the crop tool in Photopea, it does give us the rule of thirds. And we can use that to make a good selection. So again, you can crop however you see fit. It would be nice if I could get my eye on the hot spot, but keep in mind when we do that, we lose a lot of my hair. And my hair is really catching a lot of the light. So we're going to have to go a little more than that. And I think we're going to have to settle for, we use the vertical line for the for my left eye, and we'll leave the bottom line across my mouth. And I think that's where we're going to leave it for now. Now, again, you can see that I was able to get a decent Rembrandt triangle here, but we are going to, one, desaturate this, and then two, we're going to mess with the levels to eliminate some of that white that we don't need and get this background darker so we don't see that, that gray. So the very first thing is to desaturate. It's very easy. We just go to Image, Adjustments, and at the very bottom, one up, right here, we have Desaturate, and we're going to click on that. And now we have a black and white grayscale image. Now, we could use this right now with our white charcoal, but again, we do want it to be a little more high contrast. Again, we were looking at Caravaggio and that stark, very, different black and white. It creates a lot of emphasis and, almost like a drama. So what we're going to do is we're going to mess with the levels and eliminate some of the white. So if we go to Image, Adjustments, now here we have brightness, levels, and curves. They all can do the same things, but I personally like using levels. I feel like it shows me more of what I'm changing, and that's why I like it. Curves is fun to play around with, but again, I feel like it's more, hey, it worked out and I'm happy versus I really have full control and understanding of what I'm doing. And brightness and contrast, there's nothing wrong with that, but if we use levels, you'll see here. Let's just look. It gives us so much more control. So the one thing I want you to see is that when we're looking at my picture here, this is black, this is gray, this is white. And basically it's giving me almost like an earthquake reading of where we have everything. Down here, this is the entire image saying from black to white. We can see this value scale. Now, what we can do first of all is this is the actual picture itself saying, hey, we have every value possible from the darkest black to the brightest white. Now, we're going to be drawing on black paper, so I would suggest, getting the white range a little less than solid white because you're going to be using white charcoal. And by having solid white, I think that that's just going to be too much. It would just be like blown out solid white. And we don't want to do that. We're going to be adding the white. So we're going to take this and we're just going to bring it in. And you can see as soon as I bring it in, it's making it darker. Now that's way too much. But in general, versus this, I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. Okay. Now your picture might be different. You might have your picture and think, I need that much white. But in my case, I think it was just too bright. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to actually look at this black, gray, and white. And what I'm going to be able to do is increase the area from black to gray, and it'll decrease the white range. And what's going to happen is the gray fuzzy area behind my head is going to be eliminated very easily. Because instead of having all that gray, I'm telling the computer, hey, I'm more interested in the black area, so it'll get rid of most of the white area. So again, watch, I'm going to grab the gray. And again, if I go this way, it's more gray. It has more white and gray. If I go this way, it has more black and gray. Now, again, I could go very, very dark, but that's not what we want. I'm going to just simply start from right around where I was, and I'm just going to kind of walk it to my right while looking at my picture until I'm pretty happy with the background. Now, I can still see a little bit of my kiln there above my right shoulder, my left shoulder. And that would be okay. It's not like I have to draw that. But if I go a little darker, I think it's still fine. Now, the thing I don't want you to lose is your gradient. So again, you should still be able to see all of the values from black to white somewhere in your face or your clothes or your hair. Now I think this looks pretty good. You can see where the Rembrandt triangle is really popping now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Make sure to rename this, whatever you want. I probably spelled Karaji wrong in 2 G's. Oh, look, it's going to fix it for me. There are 2 G's. So again, you can name it whatever you want and then save it as a JPEG. Now, again, since I cropped it and did all that, let's check the size again. Now, the resolution's not going to change, but the size probably did. So look, now it's only 3x4. Let's bump it back to like 8. And that way, when you go to print this out, you have a nice big picture. So again, I already went through and I did some stuff where I printed out different images. So like, here's one of Batman. And again, this wasn't a black and white image. I did the same process. I desaturated it and then I messed with the levels to get something more like this. Okay, it's Batman. Anyways, that should sum up how you go from a picture that is in color to desaturating it, to cropping it, to changing the resolution to 300, to working with the levels to eliminate some of that bright white and getting more of the, nice black and white contrast, a little bit of gray.